Hi.
Nice to see you again too, Sonia.
Yes, same here. Same to see you. Nice to see you all.
So again, it said it failed to go live, but let's assume it's live. Same problem we've had before. So let's get through the stand-up, and then if at least the Met Plus people want to hang out, I'd like to vote on some stories if we could. If not, if we don't have time, we can put it off to Wednesday. But it'd be good if we can do that. All right, so let's start with no particular order. Laura, do you want to go first?
Okay, so I was looking at that, trying to get that test passing for download resume. I spent the whole of last night trying to get it to work, but it didn't. So I'm going to need some help on that. And other than that, I just recorded a video for Segu for his cohort that he did on Saturday. I believe that went well. And I've also just jumped in to help. There's a new project that's come up from one of the colleagues from Craft Academy, which I would also like to just jump in and help out there for a bit. Because I know that they've got a crazy deadline on that one. So, but I will manage my time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but if they've got a crazy deadline, they should be charging money for it. That's the usual model we have for, we say.
It's an NGO though, but I think all the Craft Academy students are jumping in on it. So we did have a meeting on Saturday night.
So it's another nonprofit.
Yeah, it's another nonprofit.
Okay, it's a Swedish dog thing or something, right? I looked at it real briefly, couldn't. Anyway.
Yes, it's a Swedish dog.
Well, yay for Swedish dogs. So, Laura, perhaps after this we can connect up on that story, or later in the afternoon, morning, either way. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, after this meeting, this will be great.
Okay, great. Sam, would you like to go?
Sure. Yeah. So Friday update is we've got the Heroku automated PR deploys now working, which in the main trick was we're having to delete the webhooks on GitHub. So that's working. We still have the cost issues there, but I have potentially verbally closed a deal with a new service provider who will potentially allow us to migrate from Heroku away from that. So that's very promising. But yeah, I mean, obviously Heroku isn't established. These are new guys. They're going to sponsor us. They're going to provide us with some free hosting. I'm hoping to start migrating, one app at a time over. More news on that. Like once I've built up more trust with them, I've got, as the increasing number of apps working well on their system, I might start recommending that to other people within Agile Ventures as a way of, avoiding Heroku service fees. So that is good. I'm just working on making sure the Agile Ventures charity bank account is set up and putting in a funding application. The main thing I need to move on is sort of catching up with all these async votes. I wish we could automate that quickly so it wouldn't take up so much time. And I need to write a migration for website 1 to get this upgrade to Premium Plus deployed. That's me.
Just a real quick question on that. I think last week you said you were going to connect up with the Heroku folks and talk to them about their cost model.
Well, I was supposed to. I mean, they gave me a couple of times, and I was like, "What time zone is that?" And we established that the guy I'm talking to is in, the West Coast, and I'm in London. And then he basically, since then hasn't. I suggested other times, and he hasn't responded to me. I mean, we're basically on a kind of a low priority burn for them, and I haven't got that meeting set up yet, so it's a bit frustrating. I mean, I've been getting more technical support for them to make the stuff, but the turnaround on the technical support, it takes 48 hours or so to come through. But this the senior level management support is got a turnaround time of the order of a week, which is kind of frustrating. Which also kind of makes me more and more want to rely on this new service provider. We'll see. I mean, I as I say, hopefully within the next week I will have a discussion with Heroku about this. But if they just keep sort of not getting to me, then
well, they're sending a message, right? Yeah.
they're sending a message. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Thanks for that. Sandhya, would you like to update
Yes.
everybody? Yeah.
Yes, Patrick. So yeah, last week basically I was out of station and I couldn't do much. So I still have to incorporate the review comments of the UTC to local time conversion issue. So in that, Patrick, when I do the rake DB seed, I get this message I'm sending in the group chat. This error.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a known one? Job email is not a valid address. It's an active record error.
When you do that, are you proceeding to migrate with a DB drop?
Yes. I'm doing a DB drop, DB migrate, and then the DB seed.
Okay. And you have updated, pulled the latest from development?
Yes.
Well, tell you what, after the stand-up, let's take a real quick look at that.
Yes, sure.
What's going on?
Yeah, sure. And also, Patrick, meanwhile, since this issue is, kind of going on to and fro and we don't have a final decision on it, I would also like to take another issue maybe parallelly with this so
You
that
mean
I can
the UTC time thing?
Yes, because that's it's still ambiguous, right? Because it was working for me and not working for you the last time we checked. So
Yeah,
I thought with this, maybe I can take up something else related to the core works, some tasks, so that parallelly I can do this.
Yeah, I think we could support that. I think the way we left it last time was that you were going to get you're going to make the changes according to the comments that we agreed upon.
Yes.
And then you're going to update your feature branch and let me know, and then I'll pull it to my local machine and see if I can duplicate the function. As you know, when I pulled your feature branch, I couldn't duplicate the functionality. It didn't convert to my local time zone.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So I'll work on that, Patrick. I'll incorporate the review comments and let you know.
Okay.
But my point was, meanwhile, I can also take up another issue, maybe.
Yeah. No. Okay. That's we generally don't like people to take two issues at the same time, but since you're in the process of finalizing this and you need to get to a point where you kick it over to me and then I'll be spending time on it, I think it's fine for you to take a second story.
Okay.
And work on that as you proceed to
Yeah.
wrap this one up. Okay, good. All right, so let's just connect up real quickly after this and look at that area you're getting on the seating.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Next in line, just left to right, is Sasha. Hi, Sasha.
So I haven't got much to say. I was sort of faffing around most of last week with my dad. This week I was hoping to get stuck in, but I've just been sent a tech test, so I'm going to be working on that primarily for the next, I'm not sure exactly how long.
We did pay, Sasha.
Say again?
So
Would you say so?
That's something.
That's true. We did do, we cared for about an hour and managed to make, I think, a one-word change. But yeah, so yeah, and I'm not quite sure what the parameters of the tech test are. That I maybe need to go back to him and ask for some clarification. But it's either going to be very easy or very hard, I think. So I'm expecting something between like 2 days and the entire week to sink into it. But yeah, so till I've got that done, I won't be free for much else.
Okay, great. Well, good luck with that.
Cheers.
Yeah. Tang Wei, would you like to go now? Yep. Hi.
I still have one pull request pending, which is the authentication for job seeker, and I think because it is there's a question about from Pure, which I don't know how am I going to close it yet. I think you commented 11 days ago.
Tang Wei, yeah, that, I agree with you. Job seeker does not belong to an agency. A job seeker can have relationships with agency people, but there's no exclusive relationship there. So I think changing the authorization to in the way that Hugh is suggesting would be not correct. I think we also have just another problem now that I'm looking at that particular action that you're dealing with, index, which is an index of all job seekers. It's not being used. I think it's been written, but it's not being invoked anywhere. However, I think we actually need that kind of a view so we can pick up job seekers who escape the assignment of a case manager or job developer. It's our task management system, which is used to funnel assignment requests for case manager, job developer. If that fails us and nobody actually does the assignments, then we could have orphan job seekers out there that we don't know about. And there's no way right now we give visibility to those orphans. So I think that index action is where we want to do that. So it's related to what you're talking about tangentially. So it's a bigger question than just job seekers not owned by an agency. And just I'll wrap up real quickly, but I've been meaning to talk to you about this. I've totally forgotten the last few times we've connected. So I'll try to connect up with him tonight when we meet and talk to him about this.
Yeah, so I think after that, I will need to faster close that pull request because it has been pending for quite a while. And there are many things going on. At the same time, later on, I will need to get to set up with a mailgun with the proper secret code. From you. Yeah, thanks. That's all.
Yeah, I'll do that right after the call then.
Okay, thanks.
Also, as part of your PR, I suggested you create another story.
So I'm not sure whether it will be a better way to create another story for that if it is something bigger, or shall we keep on this pending first, then let's see how.
Well, no, the story I was talking about was the one where you brought up where if a job seeker does not have an address, we actually can't create an address for a job seeker we're creating new, because the form won't pop it up because there's no empty address to show on the form through the nested attributes. Do you remember that? I think it's been a couple of weeks since. Yeah.
I have actually, I forgot about that too.
That's another issue. So I suggested if you could create a separate story for that.
Yeah, okay.
Which is a great catch. You're absolutely right. That is the problem.
Okay.
In terms of the rest of it, let's just keep your question out there to you. I'll talk to him this afternoon about it.
All right.
In the meantime, you can take another story and start working on it, because I think you're kind of done with the one you're working on. Until and if we, yeah.
I have another story with the authentication with the job right now.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're all set then.
Yes.
All right. Well, yeah, I'll try to connect up with you on that particular issue that you brought up. Both issues you brought up in your story were quite good. So.
Okay.
Appreciate that. For myself, real briefly, we had a client meeting last Friday with Chet, and it was very brief. There was nothing to demo. We did a lot of stuff underneath the hood, but there wasn't really much to show him, other than, our mailgun validation service picking up bad emails. But that we didn't show him that because that's kind of too grungy. We've asked Chet to go out and talk to his clients, the companies he works for, to place job seekers, to help us define job categories. As you guys know, for our matching of a job to resumes and a matching of a resume to jobs, we need job categories to be defined so that our classification model gets told, this is a full stack developer, this is a forklift operator, this is an accounts receivable clerk. And when we tell it, this is an accounts receivable clerk job description, and these are the resumes that match to job receivable clerk jobs, it learns how to classify incoming resumes and say, oh yeah, this is a job seeker, this is a accounts receivable clerk, because it matches what I know about those, what I've been told. So anyway, we need him to define job categories for us, and so that we can define those categories in terms of a job description for each, and then give example resumes for each category, so we can train the system. The system can't start up from scratch with nothing. It has to have some initial knowledge. So that's where we're at. He hadn't made much progress on that. He's got inquiries out to 2 customers, and he's pursuing that, including GM, a 3rd customer. GM guys hasn't gotten back to him yet. I'm hoping we get some good stuff from GM, because they'll have a very mature, in their HR department, they could have a very mature and stable job classification scheme that maybe we can model. Anyway, long story on that, just to let people know how the client meeting went. It went well. I delivered a PR, number 424, which is task management for company people. I reviewed PRs, and I prepared a little bit for voting after this call. So that was it for me. All right, we've gone a little bit over our time, a couple minutes, but close enough. Anybody else have anything for the stand-up? Okay.
No, nothing from my side.
All right, cool. So why don't we segue in for those people who are interested? Let's look at your situation. Actually, why don't we vote? Do you, Laura? No. Sam, thank you. So Laura,
I might have some question about interpretation for you, but I'll send
yeah, well, ask me on Slack, Sasha, and we'll sort it out. And yeah, Laura or Sasha, if you need anything, I'll be around. I'm going to try and finish this grant application I'm doing now. But I'm on Slack if you need me.
Okay.
All right.
head off on that note. Bye.
All right. Bye for now. Good luck on the test, Sasha.
okay, so can you guys spend a little time voting on some stories?
Yeah.
And then we get, okay, great, thank you. So let's do that. Share my screen. All right. So let me see, which is the one I want to look at first. So what I'd like to do is vote on, there's 3 stories for matching functionality. Matching means given a resume, find jobs that match, and vice versa. So the first one we probably ought to talk about is 388. So the story is, as a job developer, I want to see jobs that match the qualifications of each of the job seekers assigned to me. Well, anyway, in this case, we are a job developer. Job developer has job seekers that he has to worry about. And he wants to see, well, of these job seekers, show me jobs that match the qualifications of each of these job seekers. This story, and the other ones we're going to talk about in terms of matching, have an initial mock-up back in, I think, story number 350 in Waffle that I did back in June, in fact, and reviewed with the client. And so for each of these stories, you can go and look at story 350. And oh, by the way, don't worry about if you don't remember this. It's actually stated in this story here. Can you guys can see that okay? Basically, you know, initial design is shown in 350. So that's what I'm talking about here. So when you go over there, if you scroll down, you will see. So that's story 388. So here's a quick mock-up that I did. I can't recover this feature branch, unfortunately, but at least I took this screenshot.
Patrick, I lost you there.
Oh, can you hear me okay now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. So when a job developer or an agency person logs in, part of their home screen shows them job seekers assigned to them as job developer role. Similarly for case manager. And for each job seeker, this mockup shows if a particular job seeker, Tom Seeker in this case, has a resume on file, then there's a little search icon here that I'm pointing at. When you click on that, it will pop up a separate page. So this is one page here, this is a second page. So on a separate page, it'll come back and say, for job seeker, these are the matches in terms of jobs against Tom Seeker's resume. If there's no resume on file, we can't do that, right? So that's what's happening here. And then the matching, I just invented this thing, a 5-star matching system. You guys can come up with something, we can come up with something different in terms of graphics, but a couple of things about that. All of the matching stories should use the same graphical indication of match level. If we match job to resume, we need the same graphical representation as resume to job. Whether it's 5 stars or 5 something else, I don't know. Matching will occur with a rating coming back of 1.0 to 5.0. I'm not sure we go below 1. I think 1.0 means no match. There'll be 1 digit to the right of the decimal point. So these are floats we're talking about. So here I'm showing just 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. What we actually have to do is we have to show in our graphical system 3.7 match, 4.2, not just whole integer matching. Does that make sense? So in other words, if we had 5 stars, we'd have 5 stars. They'd be bigger. And let's say we had a 4.4 match. We would show 4 stars, and the 4th star would have 6/10 of it would be filled in black, and 4/10 would be white to show a 4.6 match, for instance. Is that making sense to everybody, or am I not making sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So there's that. In addition, there's also this note for each of the matching stories, which refers to the so-called sandbox API for the cruncher. So right now we don't have, as you guys know, in the back end, we don't have resumes that match existing job descriptions and vice versa. We're trying to get that information, as I indicated on the stand-up. So I wrote a spec for a so-called sandbox version of the cruncher, and that's on the wiki. In fact, if you're at the home page, if you go to Cruncher API sandbox specification, click on that. And basically, it supports all of the operations of the standard cruncher, except when we're doing matching of resumes to job, and similarly for job to resumes, we just execute this particular algorithm here to come up with a bunch of fake matches. So if you're interested, all you need to know is that you're going to get a set of matches. You can get it on any particular job, or any particular job, you can get up to 10 resumes matching. For some jobs, you'll get no matches, and then for some jobs, you'll get 5 resumes matching. So, and I say up to 10 because if we don't have 10 resumes in the system, it won't match. And so you'll get something back that, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. You'll get back a list of matches to that particular job. If you're interested in knowing exactly what you should be getting back, you can review this logic. It's all in Ruby, very readable. And then similarly for matching a job to resume. So I have a resume and I want to find jobs that match. Essentially, it's the same algorithm, but in this case, returning a list of jobs that match the resume. So the way that you would use this is that you would, in your API list, let me bring up if there's any questions about this, let me know, but it can be a little confusing, I think. So here we have this Cruncher service URL, which is pointed to the production version. To use the sandbox version, you would change v2 here to v followed by 5 nines. And then you'll get that canned response back in terms of matches when you do that. And so there's that. Lastly, I do want to point out that when you do this, you'll be calling, for instance, for matching a resume, you'll get a job ID, you pass a job ID to a method in this model. I don't know why my editor's resume cruncher model. And match resumes. We'll take that job ID and it'll talk to the back end. In this case, it'll be talking to the sandbox and it'll return an array of matches. An array of matches looks like this. This is an example. So this says that this particular job ID matched resume ID 8 with a 4.7 matching scale, resume ID 5 with a 3.3 match, etc. It'll be in descending order of match, so the highest matches will occur first. So you'll have an array of arrays, each array representing a specific match of resume to the particular job at this score. So this documentation exists here in the resume cruncher model. It also, same exact documentation in the job cruncher version of it, where we take a resume ID and we match the job. So you'll be dealing with this data structure coming back. That's the data structure you have to turn into the 5-star matching or 5 widget matching, or whatever we choose as a widget to represent graphically the match. One last thing here. So a couple things. One is this matching using graphical symbols, as I note here. I'm using stars as an example. We can come up with anything we want. It could be 5 buckets, and 3 of the buckets are full, and the 4th one is only half full, or whatever. But it's got to be the same symbol across all the matching stories. The other thing that I thought we would do is, when we do this, I'd like to see if, at least for one of the stories, for the first story we tackle, go ahead and create a mock-up of the proposed UI, and then let's have a review of that with Sam. See what he thinks of it. So somebody, selects a graphical symbol. We'll go with that. We do a mock-up, and then we review that with Sam. Sam had suggested that he do UX reviews per PR or per design element. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to take him up on that. Does that all make sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So that's the story. In this case, this is, and all the stories look like this. We're going to be voting on 3 of these matching stories, but essentially the background is the same. So there's a lot here, but it's doable, and we've got the back end, so you don't have to worry about getting data back, which is the problem before we had the sandbox. So with that, what I'd like to do is let's go ahead and vote on that. Is everybody ready? Any more questions on this? Or any questions at all? No? Okay. So is everybody ready to vote?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to...
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm going to count down, and then I will enter my number after I do the countdown, because I'm not going to stop sharing my screen. So let's go. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Cool. Thank you. So, I don't think we need to talk about this one so much. This here is essentially the same flavor of the other one. In this case, I'll just show you the mock-up real quickly, but in this case, this is a view for the job seeker. Not an agency person, but for the job seeker. And the job seeker may be looking at a job, and we want the job seeker to be able to click on something that says, hey, match my resume against this job, tell me how good of a match it is. The rest of the background is the same as the prior story. I'll show you the mock-up of that. Again, story 350 is where we go for that. So this is, yeah, there we go, 389. Job view page. So I'm a job seeker. I'm looking at this job here. And again, this is my ugly mock-up. Hopefully you guys don't do something like this, but I added this button here in the mock-up, match against my resume. So I click on that. We talk to the back end. It comes back with a match or not. And the match is just shown as a dialog box on top of the job view. The dialog box, again, looks something like this. It's got the stars or whatever graphical symbol we use. And this job matches your resume with 3 stars out of 5. Again, it could say 3.2. We're not dealing with just integers anymore. So that's essentially what that's all about. The rest is identical to the, in terms of the underlying structure, it's identical to the first story we talked about. So again, this is for the job seeker looking at a job. Tell me how my resume matches against that. So that's pretty much it. So let me set that up for voting as well. So everybody ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're gonna. I think I know we're gonna end up with this one as well, but let's go ahead and do it. So 3, 2, 1, go. So Laura, 2, you're. Can you?
I'm happy to go to 3. I just think because it didn't sound as long as the previous one.
Well, actually, it didn't, because I didn't describe a lot of the underlying foundational work, because I did that on the first story, but it involves the same structure that I
Happy
talked
to go
about
to
before.
3.
Yeah, I think, yeah, okay, thank you. I think that's probably a 3. Maybe the next one we don't even vote on. Let's just look at it really quickly. So that's 390. This is job view for job developer match resumes. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like, the quickest way to kind of explore that. So that's 390. So this story is for a job developer only. And in this case, a job developer is looking at a job, viewing a job, as seen here. And so for my mock-up, I did a couple of things. I added a pull-down list of all the job seekers, presumably, that belong to that job developer. In fact, I guess the question could be asked, can I show all job seekers regardless of whether they belong to the job developer or not? I'll have to look at the story, see what it says. So right now, let's just say this is a list of job seekers that are assigned to this agency person in their job developer role. So I select a person, and then I click Match Against Resume. And then what happens then? And by the way, this is a multiple select. So I can select 5, 6 people. And I say match this job against these people's resumes. And then I say result of matching similar page to shown above. So that basically would look like this. So for each job seeker that I selected in the pull down, it would come back and say job seekers for Emily, job seekers for Amelia, that kind of thing. Excuse me, job matches. So we just have a table that lists the job matches for each job seeker chosen in this pull down. So that's essentially what that story is. Very similar otherwise underneath. Underneath the hood, it works the same. So let's vote on that real quickly. I think, again, we know where we're going to go with that, but let's just go through the mechanics anyway. All right, everybody ready? Okay, so 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, good. Perfect. Great. So I thought we would be doing. This one has to do with, are you guys familiar with Jasmine? I know you are, Laura.
No, I'm not.
You are not, okay. So Jasmine basically is a unit test framework for doing unit tests against JavaScript functionality. Oops, there's Arun weighing in. Good for him. I didn't even know he was on the call. Go away. Anyway, so I'll show you really quickly what that looks like. So if we look at assets, let's look at JavaScripts. Let's see, what did I wrote some recently. So JavaScript tests live under spec. They're not tested by our spec. They're tested by this tool called Jasmine.
Okay.
So under JavaScript, spec JavaScript, you'll see these things that have underscore spec following them, just like our spec tests. And let's see, I did one quite recently here. So if you were to look at company registrations.javascript.js in assets, you can follow this. I won't do that, but you could follow this logic. Essentially, Jasmine is purpose-built to look like an RSpec unit test. It has the familiar terminology like describe before each, except it's got a JavaScript function definition instead of RSpec Ruby. But a lot of the structure and a lot of the terminology looks very similar. It has expect as a keyword. Expect this particular thing to be visible. It reads very well, very easily. There's a There's documentation on the website. It's very straightforward to read. And it's very powerful. You can load fixtures that contain the HTML code that you're going to be testing.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you can't test against the actual production views for a number of reasons, but you can create fixtures which represent a subset of those views to test against. And then you can do things like, in this case, I'm going to click in the send email button for a company registration. I load my HTML, and this is a before each function. So this is called before each of the it clauses, and each it, of course, is a test. I can spy on functions. So, you know, when this function is called, I get a hook into it, and I can say, gee, because I spied on it, I expect that to have been called. And then when it's called, I can actually take control, grab its arguments, and do certain things. So that's Jasmine in a nutshell. So we basically have basically Jasmine tests for everything except for, I think, job applications right now. So this is for that.
Oh.
That's a very quick and not a very meaningful overview of Jasmine tests, but it's basically, it's like RSpec unit tests for models. This is unit tests for JavaScript methods.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so let's vote on that. All right, so if everybody's ready, I will
Yes.
count down. So 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, wow, that's great. I thought we might have a little difference of opinion on that. Okay, good. Maybe it made it sound too easy. So that's our Jasmine thing. Okay. Where's that one? This is the last one. So we've implemented this external service from Mailgun. Mailgun is our email service, email delivery service that we just switched to a week or so ago. They also have a JavaScript library. Arun came in with a 2 on that. That's great. A JavaScript library that allows you to validate email in forms as the user enters the email, and it basically talks to the backend via service. It's a RESTful API and says, is this a valid email or not? And the validity of the email is way beyond just formatting, which is why I wanted to get Mailgun, because it's got this tool. This is one of the best things about it. It checks whether there's a DNS record for the particular domain. It checks whether there's an MX record for the domain, which an MX record represents a server, an email server that will respond to email going to that domain. So it does checks like that. I think it also does things like, it may check blacklist and things like that, I'm not sure. But it does some cool stuff. So, for instance, if I do this, here's an example. This is on their webpage, and they're invoking their external service here. So if I say Pat, it also does a nice thing which I like, which is it comes back with, did you mean? If you're close, you know, like gmail.com, or if I did YAHO for Yahoo, and I forgot the last O, it would come back with did you mean? So it tries to do some pattern matching, which I find to be useful. So in this case, I'll say, yeah, that's cool. That's what I meant to say. Still says address is invalid. The reason it is, if you look at the Gmail spec, I think you have to have at least 6 characters in the actual name before the domain. So if I do this, now I'm valid because I have 6 characters. If I do this, patrick.bolger, it will validate. So all of these, many of these validations would pass our more primitive validation, which just looked at format, because they looked okay in terms of format. If I do, well, gee, maybe my address is patrick.bolger@gmail.com, I'll validate. It's invalid. Gmail does not support underscores in email addresses. Yahoo does. Other people do. But Gmail does not. So it understands, for the big email providers, their particular grammar and format that they will accept and not accept. So this is really important to us because we have transactional emails. If we don't get the email right when we send out, say, invitations, we're really in trouble, and it's hard to recover. So this is why this functionality is really important. So this has already been built. I've modified the email forms, any forms. We have 3 forms that independently collect email. They're actually using this functionality at the model validation level. They put up, along with the model errors, the error coming back from the email validation service, including, did you mean? Here, though, because we have to, the only tests that have been built have been RSpec tests, and all of those tests stub out the email validation service. I'm not actually talking to the email validation service for the existing test we have. To do that, we need acceptance or cucumber tests, where we don't stub external services. We talk for real to the external service. So, long way of saying, Twitter story means that we need to build or add some steps to existing cucumber steps or build unique steps to verify we're talking to the service correctly and that it's returning what we expect in terms of valid or invalid indication for the email. All right, long-winded way to describe it, but I wanted you guys to be kind of aware of what's going on there too. So it's good to know. So let's do this one. So I'm going to do the countdown and we can vote real quick. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Sandhya, what's your thought there?
Yeah, so basically we have to touch all the cucumber tests, and maybe some tweaking may be required. So that's why I thought it may be a 3.
Okay. Well, I think it's, in my opinion, it's more of a 2, Sandhya. It's fairly straightforward to use.
Okay.
And like I said, if we hadn't done anything with the email validation service yet, I would definitely say it's a 3 because it's a risk we've not. But I did a lot of development with it and used it in development, and I saw it working. And
Okay.
as I said, the test we have right now stub out, but I had to basically learn how it works and see it works in development before I could build reasonable stubs that act appropriately the way the real service does. So I feel comfortable that it's solid and stable and we know how to use it.
I
So,
see. Okay. Yeah.
okay.
So I'm fine with it too, Patrick. In
All
that
right,
case.
great,
Yeah.
thank you. Let's do that then. Perfect. Okay. So that's it in terms of voting. Thank you for that. But it's been a while since we had voted, so I want to make sure we got some things back into the ready column. Sandy, do you want to switch gears and show us what your experience with your
Yes,
seeding
please.
effort?
Yes, I'll do that.
I'll be right back in 1 minute, okay?
Sure.
Yep. All right.
So my development branch is up to date
Uh-huh.
with the latest changes. So now if I do db drop, migrate and seed,
Mm-hmm.
so basically I get this error during seeding.
I also got that. I also got that error now.
Oh, I see.
Because I also just updated I did pull upstream,
Okay.
and then I dropped my database, and then I'm migrated, and now I've tried to seed, and I've also got the same error, Patrick.
Hmm.
But just before I did that, I was busy working on my branch, and I noticed when I did, because on Thursday when we worked on mine, everything passed. And then when I did pull upstream on Friday or last night, the first test was failing.
Okay.
Let me share my screen as well, Sandra, so you can also see just what's, and I can scroll up, show you.
Okay.
I can still get there. Let's see. Okay, much. No, it won't show it. Okay, it's gone too far. But literally the first scenario was failing. After I did the pull upstream. So then that's when I dropped the database as well. I did migrate. And now I'm also getting the same error as Sanjay.
And is it stopping at the same record?
Valid, yeah. Email is not valid address. Job email is not a valid address.
Yes, Patrick, it is the same one.
Same one. So DB
Validation.
seeds line 63.
Oh, here it is.
Can we look at that line? Sorry, Sandy, can somebody bring that line up? Line 63 in seeds.rb.
Are you
Okay.
going to bring it up, Sanjay?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
CMP for the university. That's interesting. Let me see if I have the same problem when I do that in my development branch. Or, yeah. Let's see. Where am I now? Branch. I'm doing that myself in my local machine here on my development branches, which is up to date with respect to upstream.
Okay.
And looks like I'm getting the same problem, the exact same place. Okay, well, that's interesting. Okay. Again. Yep, same place. Okay, so let me see. So now I'm going to my feature branch where I developed that email validation capability, and I'm running drop migrate and seed right now, seeing what's happening there.
Okay.
Okay, looks like I've got a problem here. Okay, same problem. So the only theory I have right now is that we're still looking at, okay. Sandy, could you show that line again?
Sure. Yeah, this one?
Yeah, so that's so line 52 where we're making the email.
Yeah.
I don't know, the only thing I think of right now is that the faker gem is returning an email that is deemed to be invalid. The seed file, of course, when it runs, it's not stubbing external services. So this email that it's getting back is presumably failing the mailgun validation for
Okay.
whatever reason.
Oh, I see.
And I haven't seen that before. I developed this feature, never saw this, put it in place. On development, I never saw it. Not today, I'm seeing it. So what is going on here? I'm going to have to look at this
Sure, sure.
and then maybe put an emergency PR in place to fix that.
Okay.
Yeah, that shouldn't be happening. But again, I think Faker may be returning an invalid address from a mailgun service validation point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to look at that, Sonia. I can't do anything about it right now, unfortunately.
Sure, Patrick,
I'm gonna have
sure.
to experiment. Take a look.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's on my to-do list this morning then. Okay, thanks for showing that.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So, Laura, do you want to switch
Well,
and look at your stuff?
I can't do my stuff now
You're
yeah,
you're
I'm
stopped.
stuck now.
Got
As
it.
well. So as soon as it's been resolved, then we can jump on.
Okay. All right.
Great.
Well, I'll start looking at that right now then.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for the long session, but we got some stuff done, and I'll get back to everybody on if and when I find out what the heck's going on with that email problem. I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it, but gotta play with it.
I have to run. I'm sorry. Bye, everybody. Ciao.
All right. Bye, Laura. All right. I'll drop off now too, unless there's anything else.
Nothing else. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, everybody. Take care.